So I guess, like, before we dive into the questions, we've got some questions that I know that you've been working on, um, which are making me nervous, frankly. But the mini experiment side of things is the antidote to being stuck. And I think what we've been teaching on the course is a mini experiment methodology. So traditional business says you need a plan before you start, you need money before you start, you need to know what your legal structures are before you start. Like, we haven't done any of that stuff in true mini experiment style. We're just going to run a thing and just see if we like it. If we like it and it works, repeat. If we like it and it doesn't work, repeat with some changes. And this whole thing of figuring out what's the thing that's in your heart that you want to go and put out into the world, and do the experiment as quickly as possible. And I think that's what's got us to this point. And we've got a plan, we've got a structure, we've got some ideas. For every one idea that we've got for this show, we've got about another 100. And you know we've got to start somewhere, so that's why we're here. So Jack, should we
Yeah,
move into the questions? Yeah.
I absolutely. I think that's a very good place to start. Like, where did mini experiments start for you? I know it's been a big part of Rebel for a while, but I suppose, like, what is it? Where did it start? Where did it all come from?
Business plans, funding, and legal structures put people off. They create more barriers to starting. And I think what we understood back in the day, the things that hold people up are fear, money, and knowing what to do and how to do it. So what the mini experiment did for me back in the day was it just simplifies everything. I don't need to, have your big vision. And I got, oh, I dream of it being like this. I dream of it being like that. But it's too complex. There's too many steps. There's too many unknowns, because actually you don't really know if it's going to work or if you're going to like it until it's actually real. That analogy of being in a sports stadium, you're going to sit in the stands for a long time, but it will never, you might think you know what it might feel like, but you'll never know what it will actually feel like until you're stood on the pitch with 80,000 people screaming at you, right? So I'm not saying that's going to happen here, Jack, but well, you never know. So for me, the mini experiment really simplifies, and it says, and our model basically says, what's the thing that I want to do? One product, one service, one idea. What's that one thing? Who is the person or people most likely to want it? And what action can I take right now that doesn't cost me any money to make it real? And that's where we start talking about bootstrapping and not spending any cash, using stacks of CDs like Jenga to balance your microphone. Because we don't need, I meet lots of people that say, oh, I need my setup before I can launch my podcast. Well, if you could see the fact that I'm trapped in by my legs here, you'll realize that you don't need the perfect setup to get started, right? So the mini experiment methodology is about simplifying. It's about focus on the what and the who, and focus on the action that you're going to take. And Alan used to say to me back in the day, so Alan Donegan's a co-founder of Rebel. Alan used to say to me, and I got to say, Jack, how much I enjoy it when he says this to me. It's one of my favorite things that he says. He says to me, I want that picture that we've got, of the giant Alan. I kind of see that, like, scary Alan. He says to me, stop thinking, start doing. Stop thinking, start doing. And as someone who was a former Olympic team captain in the overthinking team, that was really hard for me to. I've actually got a medal. We got a
Excellent.
bronze, yeah, and then two golds. So the that thing, like, most of us, and I'll talk about this a little bit later before we finish, but most of us are probably thinking about it a little bit too much in whatever way, and it's the action that causes the excitement to happen, or it's the action that makes you go, oh my God, that was awful, I'm never going to do that ever again. But both bits of feedback are useful. All the while you're on the stands, you'll never get that feedback. So mini experiment
Brilliant.
is rubber on the road, skin in the game. Off we go. Let's go, Jack.